Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. Wherever you are, whoever you support, this is Football in 60. And Charlie, a lot has happened this weekend. We've got Chelsea having an absolute nightmare. Man United, and people are asking if they're back. You've got Arsenal dominating City. City suddenly went into a time warp and decided they were going to be defensive. Spurs got a draw. Liverpool keep winning. And Aston Villa can't buy a win for love nor money. Charlie, good afternoon. How are you, mate?
Yeah, mate, not bad, not bad. I think I've got over my miserable weekend, and I'm looking forward to getting back to actually got Carabao Cup starting. Starting the next lot of the Carabao Cup this midweek. So look, mate, I've had better weekends. It's been an interesting weekend in the Premier League for sure. A lot's happened, a lot of talking points, a lot of interesting things to go over. So yeah, mate, it was still only 5 games in, and it just feels like there's so much happening.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that I'm a bit scared. And when I say that, I'm a bit scared that whilst it's great watching all your rivals draw or lose, like, oh, brilliant, Chelsea lost from my point of view. Oh, and Arsenal only drew and Villa slipped up. I don't like the fact that I'm seeing Liverpool just keep winning. And at the moment, I know it's very early days. This is very premature. I want to see a title race. And at the moment,
oh, there's not one.
I can't see. At the moment, I'm genuinely concerned that there won't be a title race for a second year in a row.
Yeah, man, I think those are legitimate concerns. Obviously, yeah, as you prefaced it with, it is only 5 games. A lot can change in football very, very quickly. But on the evidence that we've got so far, the small sample size we've got, Liverpool, without even playing well, arguably in any of the games they've had, look much better than any of the other teams. And that, for me, is a concern. They're not even playing well, and they look better than Arsenal. They look better than City. Imagine what it's going to be like when they actually start playing well and they start clicking into gear and Isak finds his feet and, they get more used to each other, these new players and whatnot. Like, it could be a major problem. Obviously, as someone said in the chat there, if Liverpool do get an injury at centre-back, whether to a Konate or a Van Dijk, then there could be issues there, because the depth that they've got and the quality and the depth at the centre-back area isn't good. But, yeah, it's an ominous sign for the rest of the league that Liverpool have got 15 points out of 15 and arguably haven't played well once.
Yeah, it's a sad indictment. And I'll be honest, this is why I get this a lot, right? I get this a lot. When I say I don't think the Premier League is as strong as people think, and I'm told, oh, it is. It's really, I'm looking at the last couple of years going, well, is it? I mean, Liverpool can afford to turn up, not really do a lot, winning games, and everyone else is just taking points off each other. So I know we can have the argument, does that make it strong or does that make it weak? But
no, I think it's a fair point, though, because you always everyone talks about the Premier League as it's the best league in the world. It's this. Does it have the best players? You would say the best players in the world play in Spain, some in Germany, some in France. You wouldn't say that the best players in the world exclusively play in the Premier League.
Of course.
We're very quick to, I'm not saying us, but like generally speaking, there's a perception from within people that follow the Premier League. They're very quickly to write off other leagues as one team leagues or, 2-3 team leagues or whatever. The Premier League's not that much different to that in terms of, you look at every league, right? And there's probably 2-3 teams that can win the league. Certainly in Italy, certainly in Spain, maybe to a lesser extent in Germany. But right now in England, we might be more competitive from 1 to 20. But in terms of a title race, at the moment, for me, there's one team that's considerably better than the others. And I think the reason why people say the Premier League's the best is because of a competitive level you've got from 1 to 20 rather than the actual quality in the league.
Yeah. Well, look. We'll get to Liverpool. We'll get to Liverpool in a bit because actually, let's start there. Everyone else today would have started with Arsenal, Man City. So let's start with Liverpool. Did you watch the Merseyside derby?
Yeah, man, I watched it on my phone. Liverpool decent first half. I felt they were good. Everton didn't really have much of a foothold in the game. They scored 2 good goals. Lovely finish from Ryan Gravenberch. And then obviously Hugo Ekitike getting another goal, Wirtz and Isak on the bench. I think a bit of rotation there from slot. But that was a good half of football from Liverpool. They looked dangerous. Everton were nullified, didn't create anything whatsoever. And then Everton decided to turn up in the second half. They played. They looked dangerous. They get a good goal from Idrissa Gueye. And then they sort of huffed and they puffed right until the end. But they couldn't really sort of, despite looking dangerous and threatening, they couldn't really, create couldn't really create a clear-cut opportunity. But Liverpool, the drop-off in the second half was big. It was a concerning tail-off,
Yeah.
You sort of would have thought that Liverpool 2-0 up at half-time, given how they played and given how poor Everton were first half, you were seeing that as maybe a 3 or 4-1 game to Liverpool. Yeah. But they were hanging on a little bit towards the end. And you sort of think, well, is there hope that this Liverpool team, they can be got at and whatnot? But because there's so many goals in that team, they'll fancy themselves to outscore everyone they play.
Everyone.
I know it's quite like that, and it won't happen, and they will get caught out in games, and they won't be able to do that. But I very much look at Liverpool and think that's kind of the sort of team that they are right now. They're not the best defensively, but they back themselves to score in every game, and more. They back themselves to score more than the opposition. So, yeah, it's a concern. It is a concern. But the only sort of crumb of hope I think fans can hold on to is that they are a centre-back injury away from being in trouble. Other than that, it's a bit worrying. Isak's not even fully integrated into the team yet. Wirtz is still finding his feet.
It is so worrying that they're doing this without playing. I mean, listen, by the way, I think people are making out as though they've looked absolutely terrible. They haven't. They've just not. They just don't rock up and you go, wow, you're great. But they're rocking up and they're beating teams. And the fact that, like you said, the fact that Isak's not got going yet, Wirtz hasn't got going yet. I mean, Salah's not, let's be brutally honest, I don't think Salah's even really got going yet this season, if we're going to be brutally honest about that. And yet they are still just sweeping everyone before them. They whether it's late winners, whether it's poor patches of play, whatever, they are winning games. And I actually felt for Everton. I thought the first half, it looked like it bypassed them a little bit. I thought
they were terrible, weren't they? They offered nothing.
Yeah, they looked at, I thought the second goal kind of woke them up. Once they kind of went 2-0 down, I thought you started to see a bit of play from Everton. And in the second half, I thought Everton, if they had got a 2-2 draw, I don't think you could have turned around and said it wouldn't have been that deserved.
No.
But the worry is I don't know where the quality is going to come from for enough teams to beat Liverpool. That's my concern right now. Is I'm not saying they're going to win every game they play, but who's got enough quality to beat them consistently? Like, where are they going to drop 2 or 3 games in a row? I genuinely don't know.
But it's very difficult to tell. I mean, the only way that might happen is if they have a number of injuries and whatnot. But it's very hard to see. Look, they're not going to win every game. They're going to drop points. But as you say, I don't see them going on a run where maybe for 3, 4, 5 games, they win 1 or they don't win any. It's hard to see that team going on that sort of run. Yes, they'll lose your game here and there. Yes, they'll draw games and they'll drop points. But right now, it's hard to see where. And this is where, people need to realise, right? The quality in terms of how good Liverpool are, how good Manchester City have been in the past and whatnot, is when you're after 5 games, when you're Arsenal, for example, and you're 6 points behind Liverpool after 5 games. The reason why people say the title could be done is because these are the margins for error when you're going for the title, given how good Liverpool are, how good City are. If you give up 6 points after 5 games, that's when you might need 90, 100 points to win a league, or that's the standard to win a league. You can't afford to be back. You can't afford to be 6 points back after 5 games. Yeah. You just can't. And these are the standards that are being set by Liverpool now, by Manchester City in the past. If you want to win a Premier League, you need 100 odd points, 90 to 100 points. And if you're 6 points off the pace after 5 games, you're making it very difficult for yourself.
Yeah. I make you right. I make you right. At the end of the day, you would expect maybe if you get to a 5-point gap after 15, 20 games, but after 5 games, I mean, and it goes to show City have been inconsistent. Whilst I think City are getting back to, you can see, like, you know, this week they've had in 7 days, I think they've had Napoli, United, and Arsenal. So you can see they've not lost any of them. I do think they will go on a run. Arsenal, again, it's not that they don't play well, but we'll get to them properly in a minute. But again, getting over that line in those big games and keeping the gap closed, they can't do it. Chelsea, we'll get to your boys in a minute. Again, something's just not right there. And then you look at Villa have dropped off a cliff. Newcastle haven't really got going yet. Spurs, we're doing okay. But again, I don't think we're anywhere near a Liverpool. So, I mean, if I'm a Liverpool fan right now, Charlie, I think I'm sitting there quietly confident saying, I fancy the league this year. And confidently, I fancy the league this year.
Well, I mean, what a weekend for Liverpool. They win. Arsenal and Man City drop points. I mean, it's a perfect weekend for them. There's a long way to go, but they're clearly the best side in the league. And they're clearly the favourites, you know, and nothing we've seen over these first 5 weeks have suggested anything otherwise. You know, already, and look, a lot can change, but already you would have to see quite a seismic shift in form for Liverpool for anyone else to win the league, let alone get up there with them.
Well, then their next game in the league, if I'm not wrong, is Palace away, I want to say.
That's tough. Now, that's a tough game.
This is the sort of game where everyone goes, "Come on, Palace! Like, can you get a draw? Can you sneak a win?" But the longer this goes on, if that 5 in a row goes to 7 in a row, 9 in a row, it's what do you do? And now the one talking point I want to go through is. Lots of people in the chat are saying it right now is that, look, the one thing that might work is if Virgil van Dijk was to miss a period of time through injury or whatever, that they might not be as good at the back. How much weight do you put on that? Because obviously we know going forward they're going to cope with whatever injuries. Do we start Ekatike or Isak today? I mean, first world problems. But at the back, they don't have that luxury. So is he still, out of all the players, is Van Dijk the main man in terms of keeping him fit?
Yeah, I would say he's their most important player purely based on the fact that they haven't got another option or an option who's anywhere near his level. You know, you lose Van Dijk and you're suddenly playing Konate and Joe Gomez. You've got that Leone, the young kid that came from Parma. I don't think he's played for Liverpool yet. No. Very much an eye on the future for him.
Good player. I've seen him. Good, but you're right. He's a baby.
He's not been bought in with this season in mind in terms of contributing massively. Sure. So you'd be looking if Van Dijk went down, you'd be looking at a Joe Gomez Konate partnership. Gomez, who's been good in the past, he cannot stay fit to save his life. So Van Dijk is the most important player for Liverpool in terms of. You know, if you lost a Konate, wouldn't be ideal, but someone else playing alongside Van Dijk, wouldn't be as bad because you've got Van Dijk to mop the mistakes up. You've got him to, guide someone lesser through. Whereas if you lose that leading figure at the back, that's a big problem. So I'd say the only thing that might derail Liverpool is an injury to Van Dijk, just because of a lack of depth at centre back. But other than that, mate, you don't see many weaknesses in that team at all.
No, it truly is a worry. Just a quick mention as well, by the way. Ryan Gravenberch is
good.
He's really growing into that midfield general now, isn't he? He came over still quite a young age. He's had a couple of years now, and really is starting to look like one of the better midfielders in the country, right?
Bayern Munich probably kicking themselves because they signed him from Ajax as a youngster. I think they signed him from Ajax at 19 or 20 or something.
Yeah,
he probably left. That move was probably too big too soon. But Bayern us looking at it now and thinking, oh shit, that was maybe one that got away potentially. I just think he probably left Ajax too early, but you're not going to turn down a move like that. But he's really coming into his own now. One of the best midfielders in the league for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Do you know what? I think that'd be interesting to see, Lewis, by the way, is if I'm not wrong, I want to say that you've got Southampton in the cup.
Yeah, it is right? Southampton, yeah.
Where is it? Anfield?
Let me have a quick check.
If it's at Anfield, by the way,
yes, at Anfield. Yeah, at Anfield.
Not doing well, old Will still down at Southampton. Lots of mumbles there.
They're struggling, mate. They were woeful they were woeful at the weekend.
Yeah. Oh God. They got well beaten. And well, look, let's see what Leone does tomorrow up against Southampton. You would listen. He's young, but you'd like to think that given the reputation he's coming in with, that he'll do well. And good luck to him. Let's Everton just quickly before we move on to Arsenal City, because it was obviously the big game of the weekend. Everton look a decent outfit. Everton, it looks like, listen, then I'm never going to watch Everton and go, oh my God, scintillating or top four. But in a very quick space of time since Moyes has gone back there, they look like the best compliment I can give them, Charlie. They look a team. They look like a well-drilled team. You got Ndai and Grealish giving them outlets on the wing. You've got a good midfield in terms of power and hunger from the likes of Garner and Idrissa Gueye. You've then got your Dewsbury Hall. Dewsbury Hall. He does well, doesn't he, Moisey? He really does well.
No, I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves as a manager. No. He did a brilliant job at West Ham, brilliant job at Everton first time round, doing a really good job second time round so far. They made some great signings. Jack Grealish is a brilliant signing, coming in on loan. Again, they got Ndai. They've got, the only thing I'd say about Everton, right, is great. They've got a good goalkeeper in Pickford. The back four is solid. Midfield, decent options. Obviously, I didn't realize Idrissa Gueye was 36. They're probably going to need someone.
Is he 36?
Yeah, they said it in comms. He was 36. I just need to check that because they might have made. Surely they made a mistake on.
Let's have a look. What's Premier League? Everton.
No, he's 35. He's 36 this week. Yeah.
Fair play to him. Fair play to him. He runs around like
he runs around. But they've got just good, solid pros. They've got players that are going to work hard and going to put a shift in. I've always been a big fan of Dewsbury Hall. He was great at Leicester. He come to us and look, he didn't get the opportunities that he wanted, but when he did get the opportunities, he took them and he showed himself to be a decent player. And we're seeing that now at Everton. The only thing with Everton, I would say, is right. I just think they lack a decent centre forward. Beto will get you some goals. They brought in the young kid Barry from Villarreal. We haven't really seen too much of him. I just wonder if they're lacking a goal scorer. But they look a solid outfit, and they are my sort of dark horses to maybe get some form of European football potentially.
Yeah. Look, I think that Everton are going to do well if they can keep everyone fit. They've not got European football. Jack Grealish looks like a bit of a revelation down there. I like Moisey. I think Moisey.
Savva, do you think Everton could do something in the League Cup? Maybe it's been a long time since they won a trophy. You look at the League Cup and you think, for a team like Everton, given the teams that have gone out already, Villa are out, Man United are out. As an Everton, you must be sort of looking at that and thinking that there could be a decent opportunity for us here.
Look, they've got a potential banana skin tomorrow night. They play Wolves away. Now, again, Wolves are not playing well.
They beat them in the Prem, didn't they? A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. But again, I suppose it all depends what team do both put out. Are Wolves going to rest people because they've got? Wolves are playing Spurs actually Saturday night at Spurs.
Wolves are banging in trouble, by the way. Smashed by Leeds at home.
We will get to Wolves. We will get to Wolves because I do not know what has happened to Vitor Pereira and his team. But look, I think Everton will be fine this season. I think they'll be anywhere in and around that 7th to 10th place. But again, I do agree with you. I think the one thing with Everton is going to be, have they got that one guy that can get them 15 goals? I don't know if they have, but we'll find out. But look, let's move to Man City away at Arsenal. And I've never seen a draw get so much talking points. City completely unrecognizable from adapting to a defensive standpoint. We've never, ever seen Pep Guardiola do this. Arsenal dominating the game, but leaving attackers on the bench when you think, could they have gone a bit more? Haaland, Doku, both coming off when Man City were defending for their lives. Arsenal bringing on Saka. A lot happened here, Charlie. Was a draw, let's start with this, was a draw a fair result in reflection?
Yeah, I probably think it was. City outside that Haaland goal, there was maybe one opportunity in the second half where Haaland should have squared it to Foden. There was potentially a tap in there for Foden. Yes. That was really the other big opportunity they had. Other than that, they didn't create an awful lot, but they got the goal on the transition, a superb goal. Reinders to Haaland, brilliant goal, and Arsenal getting caught out defensively.
By the way, just quickly, do you remember that guy last week talking about Haaland? How bloody good is Haaland right now?
Do you know what, right? It's almost like Haaland and Mbappe, people sort of almost forgotten about them. And it's almost like now that this season, they're reminding people of who they actually are. Because this is, by the way, how mad is this? This is Haaland's 4th season, right? He's got, I think, 6 goals in 5 games in the league. This is his worst start to a season he's had at City. How mad is that?
6 in 5?
Yeah, this is his worst start to a season.
Wow. Is that almost as bad as only having 36 likes on this show?
That might be worse, to be fair. In fact, that probably is worse. But yeah, look, City were good, by the way. I was impressed by City, and I think Pep is adapting, and Pep is playing to the strengths of what he's got at his disposal right now. He knows what he's got at his disposal is probably his worst team that he's had. I don't think that would be an unpopular thing to say. I don't think it was the wrong idea for Pep to do that, to say to Arsenal, look, come and break us down. When you're away from home, you get that early goal, you play, and then you sort of sit deep. And do you know what, Savva? The game plan was almost perfect. They just got caught out that once right at the end in stoppage time where they were too high up the pitch, having sat deep for basically the entire second half.
Wasn't that mad? They were
why were they so high up?
And then the one time they stepped up, you get punished. But look, I tell you what I found quite humbling yesterday was I think Pep realised that there's a shift. Pep realised, hang on, 2-3 years ago, they would have gone to Arsenal and played Arsenal off the park.
Yeah.
Right? Now they realise how strong Arsenal are. And they are. Arsenal are we'll get onto them in a minute, but they are a very strong outfit. Pep adapted, moulded. Now people can say he took this player off, took that player off. Got to remember, Man City only played Thursday night again in the Champions League. They played Man United last week. But I thought it was quite refreshing to see City have to adopt a different type of tactic for me. I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah, and it goes to show, there's more than one way to win games, and you do have to evolve with the times. I don't think it's ridiculous for Pep to have done that. He was playing to what he felt the strengths of his team were, and bar one mistake right at the end where they stepped up when they shouldn't have done, he would have been everyone would have been talking about how amazing that was from Pep to have done that. I thought it was refreshing to see that, and it shows that Man City can play in different kinds of ways. They've got the quality to blow teams away, but they've also got the quality to go to difficult places, nick a goal, and then make it tough for Arsenal to break them down. When you go away from home, the impetus is not on the away side to take the game to the home side. The impetus is on the home side to go out there and take the game to the opposition. City got that early goal on the transition, and I think that worked perfectly for their game plan.
Completely. Do you know what I said this morning on Saeed's channel? Because for me, the biggest issue, if we move this slightly to Arsenal, or a lot to Arsenal, the biggest issue for me about Arsenal, and if I was an Arsenal fan, would be with £1 billion spent, right? £1 billion spent under Arteta's reign. It's completely his squad now from 1 to player 50 or however many players. It's his, right? It's all his. There has been a shift in power. They are one of the best teams in the country, whichever. I know Spurs fans in the chat won't like it. They are one of the best teams in the country. But they've had 2 opportunities this year in the first 5 games. They've had 2 opportunities to really lay down a marker. And for me, that was going away to Liverpool, who didn't play well that game, I didn't think, and still beat Arsenal. And then playing Man City yesterday, who were there for the taking. And again, they've not managed to get that over the line. And for me, I think it's indicative of Arteta and what's said about him, whether we say he or Arsenal cannot get that over the line. They just can't. And that, I don't know how he's still I'll be brutally honest, I don't know how he's still there. But is that fair to say about getting over the line?
Yeah, of course it is, mate, because the evidence is there to support that. He's shown that he cannot get this team over the line. How much more evidence do we need that this guy cannot get the team over the line and he is scared of losing? You were never going to win a Premier League title setting up to not lose rather than setting up to win. Twice now in the big games this season, the 2 biggest games this season he's had, where both teams were there for the taking, he set up not to lose rather than setting up to win. And you will never win a Premier League title doing that. He plays with a handbrake on. That's what he is now.
And then gets really arsy about it in interviews afterwards, doesn't he?
He's scared to lose.
Yeah.
The only time Arsenal looked good is when the subs came on and he had more attackers on the pitch. That team that started the second half should have been the team that started the game. Why are you scared to start the game?
I understood why
too many
Saka
goals
didn't start. I understood that, Charlie, because I know he's come back from injury.
But why are they not starting?
Yeah, but yeah, when you've got, especially, listen, I understand if Odegaard, for example, is fit, who plays in that position, you go, okay, decision to be made. But when there's no Odegaard or Saka in the 11, surely you're looking at your big money playmaker signing.
You play Marino in the 10 again. It's just nonsense.
Yeah, I didn't get it. Like, I don't think he went defensive, but I don't think he went out to make the statement to say, you know what? I'll tell you what, Eze, get out there, play in that number 10 and run the show. Lay the gauntlet down. And he didn't.
He's scared. And that's the reality of the situation. And people will criticize Gyökeres, oh, he didn't turn up yesterday, he was anonymous. I felt a bit sorry for him.
I don't think
there was no service for him, mate. No service at all. I don't care how good you are as a striker. If you give your centre forward no service, they're going to look useless. And Gyökeres was useless yesterday because he had no service whatsoever. No chances created for him at all. And Arteta being scared to lose, this was shown last season. They drew 14 games last season. That's nearly half their games in the league drawn.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
It's another draw. It's another draw yesterday.
And is this why? Is this why, though, Charlie, that when you speak to fans of other clubs, obviously I'm Spurs, you're Chelsea, whoever, I think everyone's in kind of like, yeah, don't sack Arteta. Like as a football fan looking out, I go, God, Arsenal need a new manager. As a Spurs fan, I go, no, keep him there. I'm happy for you to keep Arteta.
Yeah, well, I'm happy for him to stay as well. Because ultimately, he's not good enough. He's shown time and time again he cannot get over the line. And how much progress have Arsenal actually made, say, last couple of seasons?
Well, because a few years ago, they were within a point of winning it, right?
They made the first 2. So when he obviously come in, I think they came the first couple of seasons, they were 5th and 8th or whatever it was, or I can't remember exactly. But then there were 2 seasons he went really close to the title, and now we're in his 6th season. They were nowhere last season. Last couple of seasons, mate, I'll be honest, what progress have Arsenal made? I'm not really seeing any progress. I think they've gone backwards, or they've stood still. because they've not moved forwards as a team. You know, mentality yesterday, again, you score last minute equaliser in a massive game. I get it. You know, emotions are great. You're going to celebrate and whatnot. They were celebrating like they won the game. Why is Martinelli knee sliding? You go and get that ball back ASAP. You get back to the centre circle and you get the game started again. Celebrating draws. This is why Arsenal won't win anything, because they've got such a weak mentality, a pathetic mentality.
And that starts from Arteta, right?
That comes from the manager, it comes from the mentality, and it comes from the top as well, Savva. It comes from an ownership that are happy to finish top 4, top 5, are happy to be challenging. It comes from a manager who is happy not to lose rather than to win. And it comes from a group of players who do not have a winning mentality.
Hang on, but by the way, Philly, I agree about not starting Eze. What I don't agree is when people say they played defensive. I thought they were all over Man City. For me, what they need to do, for me, Arsenal, is I think they need to way of being more direct. I think there's almost too much possession. There's almost too much passing sideways. We see a lot of football teams do this now. Pass, 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 pass. I don't think they were defensive yesterday. I think they should have scored. Let's be brutally honest. They had so many chances and so much on the ball. They'll be disappointed that they didn't win. But all in all, you would say for the way City defended and the way Arsenal played, a point was probably fair. And you know what? The only winners from that game were Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool were the winners from that game as well.
Of course they were. You know, but this is what I mean. Like, people can say what they want. Arsenal, weak mentality, no winning mentality. You know, and this is ingrained within Arsenal. Doesn't matter who the manager is. Doesn't matter who the players are. It's the same thing. Everyone talks about, you know, Arsenal have improved, and Arteta's done a good job on the whole to get them back being competitive from where they were.
Sure.
100%.
He's got them from there to there.
But do you know what? Do you know what the situation is, Savva? And I think there's a lot of similarities here. There are a lot of similarities between Arsenal under Arteta and Pochettino's Spurs. I think there's a lot of similarities in terms of
I can see that.
In terms of being a good side, good on the eye, play good football, good players, ultimately win nothing and can't get over the line when it matters most. Do you think that's fair? Do you see similarities between Poch at Spurs and Arteta at Arsenal now?
Yeah, because when it really matters, when it's dirty, when it's gritty, when you've got to grind out the wins, that's when it counts. It's all right when you're on a nice run and you're playing good, that's fine. But it's those moments in football that are the differentiator between being winners or not. And for me, Arsenal don't have that. Arsenal are one of those teams you might watch a week and go, "Cool, they're good, aren't they? Cool, Arsenal are good." But again, as I said, I thought Arsenal were really bad at Man United on the first day of the season, by the way. I think they were very lucky to win that. I think that was, if it wasn't for Bayindir's terrible goalkeeping, I thought they royally messed up at Liverpool. And then yesterday again. And it's kind of like, that's fine. If Arsenal want to stroll past who have they beaten? They beat Leeds, stroll past Leeds. They beat, who else have Arsenal beaten this season?
They strolled past Forest.
Right, Forest, Leeds. That's fine. But at some point, they need to lay down a marker. At some point, they need to lay down that marker that says, this is us. And right now, if they were sitting there with 5 wins from 5, you turn around and go, they've laid that marker down. But it's, again, I don't know, there's something missing there. And I do think it's the manager.
I mean, has anyone chatted as well? Has anyone actually seen anything from Arsenal in these first 5 weeks to suggest that they're good enough to win the league? Has anyone seen anything from them on the evidence so far this season? No. And even Arsenal fans surely can't be saying that they've seen something that suggests they can win the league this season.
No.
I just don't think they're close. I really don't. They've got the best squad. I don't think they've got the best team, but they've got the best squad.
I agree.
But they've got a manager who plays with a handbrake on. And you don't win anything by playing with a handbrake on. You get nothing by being risk averse. Arteta would rather draw 2 games 1-1 than win 1 and lose 1, even though that gets you more points. And that in itself is the problem with him.
No, listen, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. Look, let's move on from that. At the end of the day, it has left Arsenal 5 points off the top. Man City are on 7 points, but I think LB from Man City said earlier, he said, if we want to be back up there challenging, we've got to go on a run now. Yeah. And even then, you've got to go on a run, but you're 8 points off Liverpool. So, it's already after 5 games, it's all panning itself out, really. But just got to pray Liverpool have a drop-off. Anyway, let's move to let's go to your game.
Yeah, bad day.
Man United away. Man United in all... It's funny, isn't it? Because Man United in all sorts of trouble. Ruben Amorim should get sacked. It's dreadful. They're sitting on the exact same number of points as City. They're 3 points off Arsenal in second, right? And they've managed to get a win against you lot. But what a calamity start to the game. Talk me through it from a Chelsea point of view.
Mate, it was terrible. I don't know what it is about going to that ground, but just something weird happens to us when we go there. I like the lineup. I thought the team was decent. It was exactly as I expected, other than I thought Garnacho would start on the left-hand side, but he didn't. And we started the game so badly. From minute 1, we were all over the place, sloppy, giving the ball away, not looking like we knew what we were doing. And then that was culminated in the fact that after 4 minutes, the goalkeeper sent off and the game is completely finished, in terms of what you might be able to achieve in terms of the way the game's going to go. Look, we don't defend it well. I think Chalobah gets beaten in the air by Sesko, which shouldn't be a huge surprise. But decision-making from Sanchez. We're in the 4th minute here. Bro, just stay in your goal. Let him score. Do you know what I mean? This is what I would talk about decision-making, okay? The game's barely started. I'd rather let Mbeumo have his opportunity, go 1-0 down if you have to, and keep your 11 men. Mbeumo might miss. You might make a save. The decision-making in that moment was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And then the whole game changes from that point. Esteval comes off. I haven't spent 2 billion. And secondly, won more trophies than Arsenal in one season. What more trophies than Arsenal in one season than you've won in 7. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. Hardly anything. You've won nothing. I love it when Arsenal fans try and flex about trophies. You don't win anything. What are you talking about? You win nothing. And you're having to go at teams that actually win stuff. It's mad.
Teams like Spurs, we win stuff.
Well, Spurs and Chelsea have been more successful than Arsenal over the last 7 years. Fact.
Go on. Come on, the Spurs.
So what are we doing here? We play football. We play football to win trophies, and class in the Club World Cup. Of course you do. Like people are jealous of the Club World Cup because their teams weren't in it.
Let's be brutally honest. Let's be brutally honest.
Decent trophy.
It's funny. Depending on who's talking, depends on which trophy is belittled. So if a team rocks up and wins the League Cup, right? Everyone else that doesn't win it says Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
If their team wins it, they're at Wembley.
Oh, it's the greatest trophy ever.
Celebrating. Yeah. It's a trophy. FA Cup. If you win it, great. If you don't, it's lost all prestige. Right? At the end of the day, this is where I will stick up for Chelsea here versus Arsenal. Arsenal fans do this a lot, and Angus is brilliant. Angus has got copium. What I've seen there is somebody saying something not very nice about Arsenal, so he does that thing. But what about your team? It's like this morning I said, I don't rate Robert Sanchez, and someone straight away went, and how good's Vicario? I didn't mention Vicario any way, shape, or form. You know, I'm not sure what we're doing. But why are these clowns acting? Hello, boss man. I hope you're referring to Charlie and I. Charlie, we're clowns. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm fine with that. I'm just giving an opinion at the end of the day. If you don't agree, you don't agree. There's no problem. Like, I don't care. Like,
big up,
you know,
man, though. Big up. Hope you maybe needed a few more cuddles growing up. Just a couple of cuddles. Maybe that's all it was. A couple of cuddles. If anyone, I love this. I love this. Nah, you're a Chelsea mug with a farmer's accent. We don't care what you say. Stay losing to Man United. Big up, boss man. So cuddles and grammar missing from your upbringing. Other than that, I'm sure you're a lovely guy. Big up to you, boss man. Everybody, smash the like button if you like boss man. But this is the thing, right? This is the thing. If we're talking about trophies, right? I am someone that I don't always think, oh my God, you've had a season without a trophy, it is the end of the world, because otherwise the same teams would win the trophy every year. But I do find it funny when the Arsenal fans who haven't won a trophy for, I mean, can we be brutally honest?
5-6 years now.
When Arteta won the trophy, it
was
wasn't
COVID FA Cup.
It wasn't
with
his squad.
Emery's team. Yeah.
Right. So what we're seeing is with his own squad in 6 years or whatever it is, somebody will give me the right time frame. They've not looked like. Has there been a trophy they've looked like winning?
They've not even made a final, Savva.
That's what I mean. Has there been a trophy?
No finals. No, nothing.
In that time, by the way, we've been to finals. We've been to a League Cup final with City and lost. And we've been to a Europa League final against Man United and won.
Yeah.
Yet these Arsenal fans are out here. You lot don't do this. Guys, your manager's £1 billion deep. £1 billion deep.
I made no finals.
And you've made no finals. Like, you're not even. I think they should worry about their own club a little bit. Hey,
yeah, no, they do. And they just, whatever it is, they're just projecting outwardly. So, I mean, yeah, they're also still living off the Invincibles, by the way, as well. Yes, it's whatever. It is what it is. But look, obviously, Chelsea, look, we were awful, Savva. We were absolutely terrible. Obviously, you can't atone for your goalkeeper doing that after 4 minutes. But it's unforgivable. I think Carragher said it on Sky last night, and he was absolutely spot on. It's unforgivable after 3 years of this ownership to turn up to games like this with the centre-back pairing and the goalkeeper.
I agree.
Unacceptable, mate. It is totally and utterly ridiculous that we are turning up to games with that goalkeeper and those centre-backs. Absolutely woeful. Yes, we were poor. Maresca, by the way, was awful in that game. His management was horrendous. I get it, Esteban came off. You're going to leave Neto on probably. And the goalkeeper comes on fine. But against a Man United side, by the way, who are awful. Let's make no mistake about it. United are shocking. After 4 minutes, you go down to 10 men. The subs that he made, basically, it was Maresca saying, I don't think we can get anything out of this game with one man down against the United
and did
side.
That annoy you, though? Did that? I think Palmer had an injury, right? If I'm not wrong,
Palmer had an injury.
Right.
Palmer's not been fit since the Club World Cup. He's had a groin problem that he's been managing with injections to get through games. It's not a sustainable situation. But if you knew he wasn't 100% fit, why wasn't Palmer taken off for the goalkeeper sub? If you knew he wasn't 100% fit, why wasn't Palmer taken off first? I don't get that. You're playing Man United. I get it. It's at Old Trafford. But these are not a good team. Are you really telling me that your thought was after 5 minutes, we can get nothing out of this game whatsoever? You don't even know what's going to happen in this game. They ended up getting a red card in the end, and it was 10v10, and we had one attacker on the pitch in Joao Pedro. And you sort of think, well, how are we going to do that? Defensively, we're all over the place. The 2 goals we conceded were absolutely abysmal, embarrassing from a defensive standpoint. We showed a little bit last 10 minutes. We got a goal back. It's too little, too late.
Yeah.
It was just a really shocking performance. And to have the gaps that we've got in the squad right now with the money we've spent and the amount of players we've bought in is unforgivable. It's unforgivable.
Charlie, we talked about this so much. I for the life of me, cannot work out how you have possibly signed player after player, attacker after attacker, midfielder after a midfielder, and yet at no point gone, we've got to get a proper goalkeeper. I'm not going to blame Sanchez for everything at Chelsea. I agree with you. We had this chat last week. I don't think your centre-backs are... I think you've got some good centre-back, but decent. But there's no... How you've not gone out and bought a top centre-half and a top goalkeeper this summer is truly baffling. And that is going to be what stops you from being where you are to where Liverpool are.
But our recruitment is caps what we can do this season, Salah. You look at what Chelsea are doing, and we sign players who might be good in a couple of seasons' time. But every summer, we're starting again with raw, unproven players. And you're not going to build anything sustainable. How are we closing the gap? Maresca in his press conference today said that, he thinks we're closing the gap to Liverpool, City, Arsenal, etc., the teams above. And I just sort of think, I don't think we are closing the gap to the teams above.
Yeah.
That gap for me is either the same or it's getting bigger on the evidence that we've seen in the early part of the season, and that comes down to the recruitment at the end of the day. We're lacking key players in key areas of the pitch, which are going to cost us over the course of a season. It's been a really bad week for Chelsea. We dropped the 2 points right at the end against Brentford. We gave up 3 goals against Bayern in midweek, and then we were abysmal against Man United. A really, really poor week, which basically laid bare and exposed all our problems.
Yeah, that was going to be what I was going to move on to. I was literally going to say the last 3 games have shown that this isn't a one-off, that this is a systemic problem within your club. And the difference, see, this is the interesting thing for me. When I look at the amount of money you've spent, there's no getting away from it. You guys spend loads. It's almost like, I don't get it personally. I don't lose my mind over it like other people go, 2 billion, well, whatever it is. I don't care, right? It's almost like you guys have said, okay, we're going to spend a shed load of money, but we're not going to go out and buy ready-made articles, right? We're going to go and buy the next best things. We're going to go and buy the ones that could end up being that. And you did it a few years ago with Caicedo and Fernandes. And listen, I think they're both very good. But you're doing it now with everyone. Hato, Garnacho, Esteval, Bino Gittins, Delap. They're all very, very young players that you're spending huge money on. And I think this is why I think people are confused. You're spending the money, but it's not like you're going out and buying Doués. You're not going out and buying Florian. Do you know what I mean? You're buying young hopes.
The allocation of funds has been shocking. It really has. The way that money's been allocated and the way that the money's been spent has been really, really poor. The squad is probably better than it was last season, but I don't think the starting team is much better, if at all, better than the team that was playing last season. I don't think it is, and that for me is a big concern. Our squad is not as good as Arsenal's. It's not as good as Liverpool's, and it probably isn't as good as City's. We're trying to close the gap, but right now the gap looks like it's getting bigger. And Maresca wanted a goalkeeper. He wanted a centre back. We didn't get him those players.
But yet went and signed 2 left wingers instead.
Yeah, and then a kid in Tyreek George, when you're chasing a game 2-0 down, who was about to be sold to Fulham on deadline day, is coming on before £90 million of wingers that were signed in the summer. And my concern is that I know it's a small sample size of evidence and a lot can change in football very quickly, but based on the first 5 Premier League games, it's clear that Maresca doesn't trust or fancy a number of players that were signed for big money this summer. That for me is a concern.
Yeah, I think that's a huge worry, especially, first of all, again, you lot in the chat, smash the like button. We've only got about 15 minutes to go. Smash the like button. We've got so bad on this channel at hitting the likes. This is free. Not one of you's put in a super chat. You're all getting this for absolute free. So I'm not saying you have to put in a super chat. My point is, you're all getting this for free. No one's paying for this. You can smash a like button. And also, please subscribe to myself and to Charlie. Charlie, what's the next target for you, for your channel? What are you coming up to, 20K?
Well, 20K, yeah. 20K is the next target. We're about 1,500 away. So there's a little bit of a way to go, but it's hopefully end of the year, hopefully.
Guys, get over there, smash that like, that subscribe button to Charlie. If one of my mods would put his link in the chat. And guys, we're 107 away from 23K, 107. We can get there. Other than that, smash that like button. I am somebody that when loads of people smash the like button, I give away free memberships. But if people don't, then we don't bother. Yeah, look, let's just quickly to move it to Man United. I find football so funny, right? I find it so funny. Last week, everyone's running this narrative that, Amorim. Oh, Amorim is the worst. He's got to go, yada, yada. I'm seeing that Sky Sports running with the headline this morning, have United turned a corner? And you're like, hang on.
Yeah, it's just, mate, it's mental. It's mental, you know? It's, yeah. By the way, United weren't even good on Saturday. Not that they needed to be. Not that they needed to be in the context of the game. But if you look at their performance, it wasn't a good performance. They weren't good. And yet, you look at that they'll revert back to type next week. I don't know who their next game is. They'll probably lose. And so
yeah, I think they've got, if I'm not wrong, I think Man United's next two are Brentford and Sunderland. Let me just double check. So Premier League, Man United.
Yeah, it's away at Brentford Saturday lunchtime.
Yeah, away at Brentford, home to Sunderland, because then they're away at Liverpool. So
yeah.
If they've turned the corner, turn the corner, right? Go and get 6 points out of 6. Make it 9 points out of 9. And you know what? The funny thing is, Charlie, this is how close this league is right now. If United go and win those next 2 games, they're in a lovely position.
Yeah, well, they would be, absolutely, they would be. I mean, look, Brentford away, despite their struggles, Brentford is still a difficult place to go to. You don't really know what United's going to turn up, to be perfectly honest. They still haven't won back-to-back games under Ruben Amorim in the league since he's been there. That's mad. That's got to be the first point of call for them, is to register back-to-back wins under him to start with. But I'm not saying I'm not really seeing anything from United to suggest that any corners have been turned. They don't look any better than what they were last season. You know, I'm not just saying that because we lost to them, but they weren't good. I mean, Savva, am I wrong? Chat, am I wrong here? United weren't good at the week. They didn't play that well. Not that they had to, but if I'm a United fan and I look at that performance, yeah, it's great that they've won, but we gifted them the game. It's not like they outplayed us. We gave them the game. And they didn't play that well. They weren't that good. So this is my point. They weren't that good. So why is a narrative that they've kind of like they've turned the corner or they're improving? They weren't good.
For me, what I wanted to see from Man United to show direction of change, so to speak. I don't like this whole have they turned a corner. For me, that happens over 5, 6, 10 games, you know. What I wanted to see was you're 2-0 up against Chelsea, who have got 10 men. Got kick on. Really kick on. And it still showed to me that somebody as experienced as Casemiro allowing himself to get sent off when you're 2-0 up, playing against 10 men, your manager's under fire. And I just thought all is not well there. All is not well, because you saw it when it was 10v10.
It was even game. Even game. United weren't good. So this is my point. And exactly. Sam, obviously, United fans losing his head in the chat. But like
he always does. He always does.
But you're spot on, Savva. At 10v10, it was an even game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you could even argue that we were slightly better at times. When it went to 2-1, United were clinging on for dear life. At the end. So, look, they deserve to win the game. Look, we gifted them the game. They scored two goals. That we should have defended much better. But that's why I'm frustrated with the manager, because we could have got something out of that game if he hadn't been so negative with his subs. Well, I honestly think that we could have got. I honestly think if he hadn't been so negative with the subs, we could have got a point from that game. Well, dare I say it, we could have even won it 3-2. United were there for the taking 10v10. They were.
No, that's my point. I thought that's where if I was a Man United fan and if I was Amorim, I'd be so disappointed that I'm 2-0 up, cruising at home against a team with 10 men. And then your let's be fair, Casemiro's got to be the most experienced player at Man United, isn't he? Right?
He probably is.
Surely the most decorated player at Man United. And then he's getting himself sent off. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, are you stupid? Like, what are you doing? Like, your manager's under pressure. Your team aren't winning games. You're 2-0 up. Don't do anything silly. No, let's make this an even game. And for me, let's see. Let's see how good Man United are. You've got Brentford, you've got Sunderland, right? If Man United have got anything about them, go and take 6 points from those six available. If they have, you go 3 wins in a row. Fair play. United are a little run together, because after that they go to Anfield and I don't give them any chance, right? But if they go to Brentford and get the draw or a defeat, you're back to where you were. And unfortunately, Man United, I say unfortunately for them, Man United are back to being a football club. I say back to. They're now a football club where no one fears them. Nothing's expected of them. No one's expecting them to win 5 on the bounce like they did years ago. And unfortunately, Man U are just another Fulham, another Palace. They win 1, lose 1, draw 1.
I mean, Savva, have you seen anything from United in the? I know, look, again, small sample size, but have you seen anything from United at the start of this season to suggest they can qualify for Europe?
I think the only thing that suggests it isn't Man U. And hear me out on this. I look at the league and I think outside the top 4, I think it's so close. We will know, Charlie, after 15 games, we'll have a clearer idea.
Yeah.
Because it's bunched up, we'll have a clearer idea who just had a good first 5 games versus who's actually got some decent form to go together. Listen, at the moment, though, Man United, for me, I still think they're a mess. And I don't think they've got the worst squad in the world, by the way. I genuinely don't. I think that Ruben Amorim's stubbornness is stopping Man United being a European team. That's what I believe.
Yeah, no, look, I think that's absolutely fair. Look, we'll find out more in due course. But you're right, if they have turned a corner, they should be going to Brentford and winning, and then they should be beating Sunderland.
Absolutely.
But
Let's see.
Do we have any confidence they're going to win both those games? No.
No, absolutely. If I'm a Man U fan right now, I'm probably going, I'll take a point at Brentford because we're not that great and we must beat Sunderland. But as I said, let's see. When we do this show in a couple of weeks, we'll see. Where are Man United?
We might be totally wrong. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Listen, I think with the players they've got, they should be going to Brentford and winning. They should be beating Sunderland at home. This is the bare minimum of what Man U should be doing. It's no great feat to beat those 2 teams, right?
No.
But let's see if Man United are capable of it. Let's see, does the win against Man U give them confidence? I don't know. But just quickly, last couple of minutes, just really, really quickly. Wolves.
They're in big trouble. Mate, we talked about this the other week, Sarah, about how big that Wolves against Leeds game was, for both teams. We talked about a lack of goals in the Leeds side. They get 3 at Wolves. Wolves have got massive issues, huge issues. And that stems from their recruitment at the end of the day. They lost Ait-Nouri, they lost Mateus Cunha. They didn't replace those players with like-for-like quality or even close to like-for-like quality. Wolves are banging trouble, mate. I don't know where wins are coming from. They're shipping goals for fun, and they don't score many goals. That's the worst combination possible. You don't score, and you let loads in.
Look at that.
They haven't won a single game. And do you know what's mad, though? They've not won a single game, but they're still only 4 points from safety, which would give them some hope.
Yeah. Well, their next game, Charlie, White Hart Lane, Saturday, 8 p.m.
They're not going to win that. I mean, look, Spurs could be Spursy, but I just think that's very unlikely. I just think it's very unlikely. We've got to be honest. They're not going to win that, I don't think. What's after Spurs?
Let's have a look. So Wolves have got. Here we go. So Wolves' next games. So I won't league games. They've got Tottenham away.
Yeah.
Brighton at home. Sunderland away. And Burnley at home. Now they have got to, from the Sunderland and Burnley game, they have got to get points. Got to. Otherwise, they're going to be adrift. I can see Brighton beating them. I'll be really pissed off if Spurs don't beat them Saturday night. And then after the Burnley and Sunderland games, they got Fulham and Chelsea away back to back.
Mate, Wolves are in trouble.
They're in trouble, aren't they?
I'm telling you now. They could be 10 games in with 8 losses and maybe a couple of wins. But Sunderland are playing well at the moment, as are Burnley are doing all right also. There's no guarantees that Wolves would get anything from those games. Yes, I know Pereira's signed a new 3-year contract. We know that contracts don't really mean anything. If I'm a Wolves fan, I'm seriously concerned.
But the thing is, I know they lost Cunha and they lost Ait-Nouri, right? But Vitor Pereira done such a good job with them last year, didn't he? Like, he came in to go from Gary O'Neill and they went like that. Yeah. And listen, don't get me wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say that them losing Cunha and a left back has suddenly made them go from a good team to 5 defeats on the spin. Something's not.
They've got Strand Larsen, who I actually like and think is a decent player. You know, Strand Larsen's there. I don't even think the midfield at Wolves is that bad. I like João Gomez. I like the lad that they brought in from Brazil. I forget his name now in the midfield. Andre. Yeah. Like, mate, they got some decent players in midfield. They got a good striker in Strand Larsen. The defense is obviously poor.
He's just. Isn't it weird though, Charlie? If you look in the last week, like most clubs, if they had lost 4 out of 4, I know it's 5 now, but before the weekend, the manager's getting, oh my God, hang on, is he, the dreaded vote of confidence? They offered him a brand new 3-year contract, which felt weird timing to me. In the same week, Strand Larsen signed a new 5-year deal.
Larsen's deal only became permanent in January. And then he signed another new deal in the summer. It became permanent. It became permanent in the summer, and then he signed a new contract extension after his deal came permanent.
You know why? I bet you there's a release clause in there. I bet you.
I would imagine there is. Yeah.
You know, Newcastle wanted him.
Yeah.
And put in big bids. I reckon they've probably sat down with his people during the summer and said, "Look, don't go. What we'll do is." We'll give you a new contract. We'll give you a pay rise, and we'll put in a release clause. So if anyone comes in, because otherwise it's all too fishy for me.
That all seems a bit odd. Look, maybe Wolves will get it together. I mean, look, maybe they will get it together. I don't know, but I'd be majorly concerned. I would be very, very concerned because on the early evidence. And it's only 5 games, but the promoted sides don't look that bad. Certainly Sunderland and Leeds. Probably Burnley look the worst out of the promoted side. Sunderland and Leeds, I think, have got a bit about them. Sunderland to a bigger extent. Right now, after 5 games, you're looking at it and you're thinking, this might be the first time in a few seasons that all 3 sides don't go straight back down. Like some of those sides are looking good.
Do you know what I think? I find it interesting with Burnley. I think Burnley are a very well-organised football team. Well drilled, good defensive unit. if you don't have a goal scorer, you are not staying in the league.
Yeah,
You've got no
problem.
goals. But just before we sign off, I just want to say massive credit to a couple of managers that I don't think get anywhere near the credit they deserve. The first one, I think, is Marco Silva at Fulham. Again, no one's talking about Fulham for good or bad. It doesn't matter what Fulham do. He's got them there or thereabouts in relative terms. You know, if we look at this table, he
does a brilliant job. He does a brilliant job season after season, and Fulham are one of those teams that just go under the radar.
Yeah,
and the most you might get is, Fulham are doing well, aren't they? That's like the most you might get.
Yeah,
you know, Marco Silva, I think he was linked with United. I think he was linked with the Spurs job quite heavily as well in the past. He's doing a great job. He's doing a really, really good job. And Fulham are a good team, a good, solid Premier League outfit. But yeah, I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves. It constantly seems to go under the radar. And
while we're there, I mean, Iriola, we know, has got to. I mean,
brilliant.
Maximum credit. I mean, he lost so many. We're talking about Wolves losing Cunha and Aït-Nouri. This guy lost his entire back four, his goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but that goes down to the manager and the scouting as well. You know, the scouting is so important. You see it with Brighton. Now Bournemouth are showing it. You know, it's a really good start to the season. You know, even look, I know we just mentioned Sunderland, but Lebrie's doing a great job there. A brilliant job. They've lost one game out of 5.
Yeah, superb.
You know, superb job. That result yesterday, by the way, I know Villa have been crap, but 1-0 down to Villa and with 10 men. They still fight back to get a point.
Well, the very last thing I'll say, by the way, sorry, two last things. Crystal Palace, first of all, again, look, the only team other than Liverpool not to have lost a game. 2, they've got the best defence in the league along with Arsenal with 2 goals conceded. And if I'm not wrong, haven't Iriola, Silva and Glasner all got their contracts up at the end of this year? I might be wrong.
Hang on. I think definitely 1 or 2 of them do.
Yeah, I know Glasner does, but if these two, there you go. Listen, 3 very good football coaches that, because they don't have really sexy, glamorous names, no one talks about. For me, all 3 of these, I think, do a good job wherever they go. And to be fair, what I will say is Silva is somebody, I tell you why I rate Silva. I rate Silva because I never did rate Silva. And what I mean by that is when I first saw him, I was like, this guy's a disaster. But I think as he's gone in the years, I think he
had a shocking spell at Everton, and then he was at Olympiacos and whatnot, and it was all a bit weird. He was at Watford. He's really solidified himself as a very good manager at Fulham and fair play. Look at those 3 managers out of contract. Depending on what jobs are available in the summer, I think at least 2 of those won't be at their clubs next season.
I completely agree. And the very last thing I'll say, because we are going to wrap up, we've gone about 6 minutes over. Very last thing I'll say is, Aston Villa again. I mean, I'm here for them. I'm here for them flopping because right now I thought they'd be neck and neck with Spurs and Newcastle at the top there. He's come out today apparently and labelled his players as lazy.
It's never good when that happens. It's never a good sign. Look, for me, it looks like all is not well at Villa. I don't know what's going on. I'm not saying there's been a falling out or anything like that, but it doesn't. All is not well there. It's clear. I mean, this is just a theory. I wonder if Emery's taken Villa as far as he can. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm just kind of putting it out there. Has he taken them as far as he can go?
You look at their summer, and by the way, this is the game that Villa played. Villa put a lot of eggs into the basket of, was it 92%? Was it of turnover to wages?
It was high. Yeah.
Now that is, I mean, hang on. When we're saying Silva is not good enough for what? He's done a brilliant job for years at Fulham. Again, you keep coming out with he's not good enough for what? He's done a really, really good job. Anyway, they had the gamble last year, right? They went big with Asensio and Rashford. And you might say if it wasn't for a bad referee decision on the last day of the season that they got Champions League. they didn't get the Champions League, which is a massive loss of revenue. They've had to move Ramsey on to offload PSR. And they've not been able to go big in the summer because of it. And unfortunately, they look a bit stale. And I'll tell you, the biggest thing I said to my uncle watching the game yesterday was they look like they've got no width. Villa look like they've got some good footballers, but they look like they've got no.
But they just don't look like they just don't look like an Emery team at all.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Something's not right there.
Like, but they've been brilliant under him for 2.5 years. So where's it? Yeah. Where's it fallen? Where's it gone?
Has it not been freshened up enough? You know, I don't know. They've got Sancho, they've got Elliott, they've brought in Gessend. I mean, I don't know, mate. It's worrying. But again, Villa, what, three points from 15?
Well, here's what they have got coming up, right? This is Aston Villa moving forward. So we know they're out the cup. And Wolfie's made a good point here, right? So here you go. Aston Villa's fixtures. League. This is league. They've got Fulham at home.
Massive game.
Followed by Burnley at home.
Need 6.
So they need 6 points because after that, they go to White Hart Lane. They come to us. And then after that, they host Man City. And then after that, they're away at Liverpool. So yeah. They need 6 from the next 2 wins, the next league games, don't they?
Well, they got Europa League on Thursday as well. I don't know who they're playing, but that's going to start.
I think it's Bologna.
Yeah, I mean, at home as well, you'd expect them to win that. But yeah, look, they need to start picking up points and need to start picking up points fast. But you just watch Villa and you just don't see where a win's coming from.
No,
that would be the most worrying thing for me. Is it's not like, you know, they've been unlucky in games they're playing well and they've just been on the wrong end of fine margins. They've not played well once all season. They've looked shocking every game.
You know what surprised me about them? It's the last 2.5 years, when you've watched them, it didn't matter whether they were having a good game or not. When they sprung forward with the pace of Watkins and Rodgers and Bailey, they looked dangerous. They looked like they were going to terrorize teams in the transition. I'm watching them now, and it's 5 games, so, you know, not going to be one of those fans who loses the mind, but they just look, everything looked quite slow and lethargic, and
yeah,
it didn't look like there was that buzz, that, you know, that kind of energy that we associate with them. Even Morgan Rodgers, who I think is a top player.
He's been awful this season.
Off. Watkins looks a complete shell of a player. And I thought when Harvey Elliott came on, I thought he looked lively. He's buzzy, he buzzes about, but they didn't ever look like. I mean, they played against 10 men for about an hour.
And the goal they did get was a poor error from the goalkeeper.
Yeah. So listen, one to watch, but listen, Unai Emery, what you do know is he won't panic. He is a seasoned manager. He is very well experienced across multiple leagues. But Fulham at home, Burnley at home, big games for Unai Emery and Aston Villa. But I'll tell you what, if they don't win it, as a Spurs fan, I had Villa, Newcastle and Spurs to be in that 5th, 6th, 7th in some order.
Yeah.
And the more that Villa don't win, the further away you get from.
Well, when you're those teams are already 6-7 points ahead of Villa after 5 games. Given how close
we're on 10, Villa are on 3. Yeah.
And given how close the race has been for them European places over the last sort of couple seasons, a gap like that could be invaluable.
No, absolutely. Well, look, I'll leave it there. Guys and girls, I'll be back at 6 p.m. with Perchy, talking all things Spurs for the What Are We Doing Here podcast. We love a bit of the What Are We Doing Here podcast. Tomorrow, this show won't be on, and we'll be back on Wednesday. The reason being is we've got the 10-hour live stream. We've got the 10-hour charity live stream tomorrow for the Caldwell Children Charity, which is a charity that supports families up and down the United Kingdom that have disabled children. So it supports them with care, with equipment like wheelchairs and accessibility and all the things that these families need. So I think it's a really, really good cause. So I'll have many YouTubers between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. I can't do a 24-hour one, guys. It does. I'm old now. It hurts me. I need my sleep. So we'll be back for that. And then Charlie and I will be back on Wednesday, which is good because tomorrow night, if I'm not wrong, here we go. Let's have a look. Tomorrow night, there are multiple games in the League Cup. You've got Wolves and Everton.
Yeah, I'm heading up to Lincoln.
Lincoln, Chelsea.
Yeah,
there you go. Come on, Lincoln, the Imps. Go on, Lincoln. Knock Chelsea out. Burnley, Cardiff, Fulham, Cambridge, Barnsley, Brighton. So we'll have a lot to talk about on Wednesday. Charlie, thank you very much as always, mate. Really appreciate you.
Nah, pleasure, mate. No problem at all. Always a pleasure.
Brilliant. Listen, guys, girls, as I said, join me at 6 p.m. with Perchy. Please join me tomorrow, 10 a.m. through to 8 p.m. Try our best on this channel to raise as much money for charity as we can. And hopefully that's appreciated. Listen, I am going to send you all over to, let's see who's live. Let's see. Here we go.
Live, there must be someone.
There's
always someone.
There's always someone. I'm going to send you to, Too Much of E. Really good content creator for Tottenham. Really different, chilled out. When you get there, please show the love and type in Savva Raid. But more importantly, smash his like button and subscribe to him. Much love, Savva Raid. We'll be back at 6 p.m. And as always, hang on. Last week was Swansea, wasn't it? And as always, come on, Lincoln. Come on, Lincoln. Come on, Lincoln.